So you've got what did we do last week? You were looking at item IDs for properties.
But there is a bug. To update the reference.
Oh, because you were worried about deleting the...
I make some research, but I can't remove qualifier.
Without removing the statement itself.
Yeah, so I need to remove the item and then add the item with reference.
Yeah, and if you...
Now I can.
I suppose the other thing you could do is you could add, rather than remove the point in time, just as well as have. Does it let you add? Does it let you have both? So you don't need to remove the old one. You just add a new one.
Oh yeah.
So that might be your way around it. So if we take, have you got an example of a one that's point in time?
Yeah. Use this command to delete the item and then use add item. There's some reference.
Yeah.
And use this command to add the point in time and the reference. But some people don't have reference. The script will check the URL. If it is available, this command will.
So that one there, for example, so what was that number you had there? Q, the one that didn't have a. There's one there that didn't have a reference.
Yeah.
Like that one there. Or that one will do. 479.
479 4228.
479 4228. It's probably the case that it's a very old. Yeah, it's 1990, 2000. Not that old. Yeah, those people weren't. Those people weren't. How many blanks have you got here? How many?
About just.
Oh, that's
4.
not too bad.
Yeah.
Right. So you can probably.
Most of people have a. Royal Social. .org with people and FRS ID. And we can trade.
If we take Q80 for example. Q80. That's Tim Berners-Lee. So does he have he's one lost for awards, isn't he? So we were wanting to get rid of start time and replace it with point in time, is that correct?
Yeah.
Does it allow you to have both? So if I was to edit this and say so you can actually have both coinciding with each other if you need to. I'll remove that. So I think that's probably the simplest thing is to just if that's not moved. Doesn't publish. That's the problem. Ah, right. Okay. So maybe the simplest way is to just, rather than try and delete the old stuff, just add new things. That might be the quickest way to do it, because you don't want. I think you probably don't want to spend too much time on just this one thing. So does that solve? Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. So I suppose the next thing to think about is how we go about populating this table. Yeah. Is and you can get this information from, provided they've got Scopus ID. Can you get total documents from the Scopus API?
Yeah.
And you can get total citations, H-index. Did you do I10?
I don't know how to get I10.
You can, if it's not something you can get, then don't worry about it. H-index is probably immediately more useful. Co-authors, that'd be the number of co-authors, is it? And then label. Yeah. The other one that you can do, but it's difficult, it's much harder to do, is birth date. It's to look at how old people are. You know, is there a favour? You know, if you're older, you're more likely to have an article, maybe. But it's difficult in many cases to get that information from Wikidata, because it won't necessarily have a birth date in there. So that looks like a sensible start. I10 is I10, is that the one that Google uses?
Yeah, Google.
So it means you can't really get it, doesn't it? Because it's. Let's try that example. So it gives an I10 index of that. But yeah, if you can't get it from you won't be able to get that from the Scopus API. So. You know what I10 is. You know what I10 index is.
I10. I10 is index.
Oh, okay. Number of articles at least 10.
Yeah.
You might find it hard to get that information from Scholar, because it doesn't have an API to query. And does Scopus store that information or not? It doesn't say. If I look at it just has a H index, doesn't it? Yeah. But it does give you the documents, total documents by author and total number of citations. So total number of citations might be useful. Oh, you got it, total citations there. But I think I10 you can probably ignore. Format. Yeah. So I suppose then what's next in terms of, do you think you fix that problem with the point in time start time? Should be fairly easy to sort out. So I guess the next thing to do is to try and gather this kind of data. Is how many scientists will you have in does your query return when you say do you have a way of querying for, say, all fellows who were elected within the last 20 years, say? Have you got a query that will do that?
Yeah.
So then once you've got that, then you can start for each author going off to Scopus and calling the API to get each one of these things. But it would probably require you to store the results in some sort of intermediate database. The field of work, is that coming from? Where's that coming from?
Wikidata have a
Right.
field.
So it's probably. I mean, it might be interesting to look, but it's probably not very useful because they'll be missing or vague, or sometimes they're too specific. Like they'll say some very obscure field, like I don't know, iron transporters or something, and it's not clear to you whether there's like chemistry, is it physics, is it whatever it is. So you might find that the field of work might not be useful. I mean, it's probably useful to have anyway, as a just in case. But I think of the ones that are going to be the most useful is probably these ones here, apart from H-index. And what's the label? Is that the label that Wikidata?
Yes, it's like link count. If the link count is 0, so this scientists don't have a biography in Wikipedia.
Right.
Yeah. So the label is 0 if
Right.
have a link count.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. So, are you confident that you can then write some script to then pull this information from Scopus? And I don't know where you're going to store the information. You're going to store it in a local database,
Yeah.
and then
CSV file.
yeah, CSV is fine. Because it's probably not. How many scientists will you look at?
About 2,000.
2,000. So it's not. It shouldn't be unmanageable. The one that's not on here actually is could look at, but again you won't necessarily have it. So the year that they were elected. So if you take will have points in time, but they don't. It doesn't always have. They don't always. So some of them don't have a point in time at all. Are there any other things that have come up in the last week that you wanted to discuss?
That's it. And I can use this script to update all the fellow of Royal Society information with the reference.
So what can you? You asking or?
If you want to use this script to update the information, I can do that for all the fellows.
Does it? What will it do? Will it just add? It won't delete information. It will just add only, or is it?
Yeah. If I don't change the start time to pointer time, I can just add the reference.
Yeah, I mean, anything that sort of tries to standardise the data is generally a good idea, I think. So what would that do? What does that script actually do?